Hey guys, a new article from Redfin shows that investor home purchases across the country are way down, and probably not much of a surprise to you based upon where the market is right now. But in their research that Redfin did, they named the top metros where investor buying activity has fallen the most, and Charlotte ranks way up there on that list. And I'm going to show you exactly what's going on in Charlotte here in just a second. But before we get to that point, if you're new to the channel, my name is Brian Taylor and I'm the owner of Dreamline Realty right here in Charlotte. And guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. So guys, this article from Redfin is very interesting. And if you've been paying any attention over the last 2 years, you know without question that the investors have come into Charlotte and other areas and cities across the country and have just scooped up thousands and thousands of properties. And guys, it's really kind of messed things up for first-time homebuyers and just basically put them in a position where they can't compete for a house. And it's been really a shame to see that happen. And I want to show you the impacts that these investors have had in Charlotte and see if maybe, just maybe, they are going to stay away for a while. So let's jump right in. All right, so the article reads, investors are buying roughly half as many homes as they were a year ago. It goes on to say here that investor purchases of U.S. homes fell a record 45.8% year over year in the fourth quarter as the high cost of borrowing money and the prospect of substantial home price declines made real estate investing less attractive. Says the second biggest decline occurred in 2008 when investor purchases slumped 45.1% during the subprime mortgage crisis. Now let me show you exactly what we're talking about here on a chart. Okay guys, so the chart says investor home purchases fell most on record in the fourth quarter. So the very first thing I want to point out to you is the data that we are looking at goes back to quarter four of 2002. all the way over here to Q4 of 2022. So the article just mentioned in Q4 of 2022, home purchases by investors were down by 46%. Okay, that's a pretty big number. It also tells us that we have to go all the way back to 2008, Q4 of 2008, to see the previous quarter where we had the biggest amount of decrease. Now, the only other decrease that was bigger than that one was right here, and this was actually in 2007 when the financial crisis happened right there. Excuse me for my crazy arrow. That's supposed to actually autocorrect to an arrow, but that was actually 2007. So the thing to note is if we go back in time just over a year ago, you're gonna see this number right here, guys. That is a big number. That was probably, looking at this graph, right around quarter two of 2021. And that's when the craziness and the frenzy really ramped up for these investors. So the point is down 46% on a year-over-year basis, and I'm going to get into the actual number of home sales, what that equates to here in just a minute, but let's head back to the article so I can show you what's coming up next. It says, while many investors have pumped the brakes on home buying, investor market share has remained fairly steady. Now that's because individual home buyers have also pulled back. Investors purchased 17.8% of all homes that were bought in the metros that are tracked by Redfin in the fourth quarter, and that's comparable with 17.6% in the previous quarter and down from 19.4% from a year earlier. So let's take a look at this on a chart. Okay, so this chart says investors bought 18% of homes that sold in the fourth quarter. Now again, we are comparing numbers here, guys, going back again from 2002 quarter four through 2022 quarter four. And the article just told us that we're 18% in Q4 of 2022. And if I point right here to this line, that was actually 2021. And it's just over the 21 mark, so we'll call that 21%. So what it is telling us in the 21% bracket here, going down to this 18%, okay? That is where they're coming up with year over year. It is down 19.4% from last year. So just keep that in mind here for just a second. And I want to show you exactly what I really wanted to get to on this screen. But if I was to draw a line right from here and take us all the way up to 2022, if we take a look at the average of that line through this 20-year period of 2002 to 2022, that is about a 12% average of homes that are purchased by investors. So even though we sit at 18% now, we are higher still than we have been at any point in time over the last 20 years. But do notice that this line right here is coming down, and I probably expect to see that happen as we continue through the market that we're in right now, where interest rates are high and home sales are slowing. Investors really don't have too much of an appetite right now for this stuff, so hopefully they do kind of stay away. But let's go back and see what the article has to say. The article continues and it says, it's possible that investors will start to wade back into the market this year, given that mortgage rates have ticked down from their 2020-22 high, especially if home prices show signs of bottoming, said Redfin senior economist. But it's unlikely that investors will return with the same vigor that they had in 2021. And that's good news for individual buyers who are still grappling with high housing costs, but no longer losing bidding war after bidding war to investors. It continues on to say that investor home purchases in the fourth quarter of 2021 were near their record high, which is another reason that the year-over-year decline in 2022 was so dramatic. And that's exactly what this chart is showing us. It says investors bought half as many homes in Q4 as they did a year earlier. So as we look at quarter four of 2022, we can see that investors bought 48,445 homes in that quarter. That is down from the peak. Now guys, this right here is 2021. And check this out. The number of homes sold in that quarter was 89,396. So that is a big decrease down here to the 48,445. That is a big number. But I want to carry on in the article because I want to show you guys exactly what's happening right here in the Charlotte market. Everything that I've showed you so far has been on a national level. So let's jump back in and see what's going on here in Charlotte. All right, guys, so what we've been waiting for, the pandemic boomtown, see the biggest drop in investor purchases. It says in Las Vegas, investor home purchases fell 67% year over year in the fourth quarter, which was the largest decline among the 40 metros that Redfin analyzed. Next came Phoenix, then Nassau County, New York, and then Atlanta, and then came Charlotte at 61.9% decrease in home purchases by investors. And at the bottom here in yellow, it said investor purchases may also be declining in Atlanta, Charlotte, Las Vegas, and Phoenix because those markets were popular among iBuyer investors, many of whom have ceased or slowed down operations in recent months. So let's go over here to the chart and I'll show you exactly where we sit with Charlotte compared to the others. So here are the largest declines in investor home purchases by metros, as you can see right here. And Charlotte right here ranks 5th out of the top 10. As you can see, Las Vegas, as I mentioned, was number 1. All the way down here to Orlando, Florida was number 10, guys. So that is a big number, minus 61.9% quarter over quarter here in Charlotte. But let's go back to the article because I want to talk to you about exact market share of investor purchases here in Charlotte as well. So here it is. It says investors lose the most market share in Atlanta, Charlotte, and Phoenix. It says investors lost market share in 15 of the 40 markets that Redfin analyzed. Many of those markets are places where investor purchases dropped significantly. In Atlanta, investors bought 1/4 of the homes purchased in the fourth quarter. And then it says next came Charlotte at minus 11.1 points. Further down in the article here, it says overall investors had the highest market share in Miami, where they bought 30.6% of homes purchased in the fourth quarter. And then there was followed by Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Anaheim, California. But then Charlotte sits at 22.4%. So guys, so the whole market in Charlotte, investors are buying less houses, but they still are buying 22.4%. So let's wrap all of this up in a chart and give you all of the data for Charlotte here in one spot. All right, guys, here is all the data for Charlotte that we just covered in those slides. So the investor purchases year over year change, we already talked about that being down 61.9%. Look at this, guys. The total value of homes bought by investors, that number is $704,208,236. That's a big number for value of properties that were purchased. But to check this out too, the median sales price of homes purchased was $286,500. Now that right there makes a whole lot of sense to me, because when the frenzy was going on, it seemed to be that the investors were not having any appetite for anything really over $350,000. That was kind of like their cap. So that number right there of $286,500, that actually makes a whole lot of sense to me. And then carrying on, we talked about the share of purchased homes bought by investors. As we just talked about, they are still buying 22.4% of all the homes in Charlotte. But on a year-over-year percentage point basis, as we just mentioned, they are down. Charlotte is down 11.1%. So there you go, guys. Investor buying activity in Charlotte has decreased quite a bit from last year. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think the slowdown in the housing market will be enough to keep them away? Or do you think that they will make a return at some point in time in the future? Drop a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And guys, if you need my help in your home search, I am just a phone call away or a text away. But the easiest way to reach me, and my favorite, as you probably know by now, is to hop on a 15 to 30 minute Zoom call with me. Let's talk about your situation, talk about your timeline, and put a great game plan together for when the time is right for you, of course. And you can scan that QR code or go to that website at smoothmovecall.com. And all of my information is also in the description below. So guys, that's all I got for you today. If you like the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. And I'm gonna put a video up on the screen right here for the last video I did that we titled, "Where Are All the Charlotte Houses?" So guys, thanks so much for watching. And as always, make it a great day.